The meta-crisis is the historically specific threat to truth, beauty and goodness caused by our persistent misunderstanding, misvaluing and misappropriating of reality. It arises from the material and spiritual exhaustion of modernity, and it manifests institutionally and culturally to the detriment of life on Earth.
We don't want our time in this universe as humans, our story, to end with this rapacity, this viciousness, this cruelty. We've set machinery in motion that we can no longer control.
Whether it's technological or social upheavals or ecological collapse, there's a sense of a lost future.
A sign of being born into the ending of a world is that the future, in the ordinary sense, no longer works. The story of that world doesn't have much left to run.
We don't have a clear sense of who we are and where we're going anymore.
There's a strong sense that we are being spirited away. It seems we're being driven from the surface, from the skin of things into the bone of things.
First, get a handle on what exactly the crisis you're imagining and you're dealing with is, in the sense of your own life and in the history of human civilization. Once you do that, you can start looking at it and saying, well, maybe it's not a crisis, but maybe it's an apocalyptic shift. Maybe it is a time between worlds.
It's like we don't entirely belong to the world as it is now, although we're still part of it. And yet there isn't really another thing that we're fully belonging in, so we're in this in-between phase.
It's okay being a caterpillar, it's okay being a butterfly. What is really hard for us is when it's you're neither a caterpillar, nor you're a butterfly, you're some kind of wicked mush inside. I think that's really what our crisis is, which is, it's not a crisis to be a pupa.
My preposition these days is through. Honey, we're gonna have to go through this.
This gets at two metaphors that I think are essential for these times. One of them is the metaphor of the hospice worker. Right now there's a lot of dying happening in the world, so we need hospice care. But the part about getting to the new is that during that dying process, we don't lose the things that'll make it possible to get to the new consciousness. And that is about midwifing. But no human being alive today has experienced what is being born. So how do we train ourselves to be midwives when we don't know what's being born? And we don't know how its birth is going to happen. The more important question is whether we will create the conditions for it to be born.
Now you have a narrative that says, yeah, we're living through this. Like, how many people get to live through this? This opportunity for humans to put something in the historical record that's never been in there before.
These times call for experimentation. That isn't the energy of a solutionism. It's not the energy of justice. It's the sensuousness of a world in search of itself.
What kind of humbling would it take for us to remember how to show up as not only those who destroy, but also those who are a keystone species, those who contribute to the life of forests, the life of landscapes.
We need more people who are turning away from the miasma and the drama of the global situation towards the spiritual calling of the work they're meant to do in the context they have, but not in a politically naive way, in a way that is deeply informed by the need to generate a new reality.
And there are more and more people hearing the call to that path now. That there is a movement that doesn't look big enough to be taken seriously because it doesn't scale up, it scales outwards.
We need folks creating constructively alternative futures, and I think everybody's welcome. This is a kind of terrestrial homecoming. I think simply saying yes to that is a radical position to have, particularly in a time where everything feels like it's falling apart. But exactly where everything is falling apart is where we begin to see the future taking root.
It affords you this relationship of belonging in the world that's so vibrant. And then you find out something very, very interesting, and that is the whole world is falling in love with you all the time.
It makes this a real interesting time to be alive.